Hi guys, it's your girl Carmen Durr coming at you with my first vlog. I'm a little bit nervous to be like talking on camera, even though it's just like me in my room. But this will be shared with the world. I just want to connect with people, on a deeper level to let them know, they're not alone. Some of the stuff I go through, everyone else goes through. I am a poet first, I'm a writer first before I ever got into makeup or even wanted to do a video version of my blog. But hey, I'm also human, so why not connect on every avenue in which the world revolves around today? So, I decided to do my first vlog on relationships because I just ended a relationship, and I think this is probably the hardest breakup I've ever been through, and it's most likely because this is my first love. And I know it sounds crazy. It's like I'm 27 years old, but yeah, I've been in past relationships. Usually, I'm the first to end them, especially when the L word gets involved because I didn't believe in love. I thought it was just bullshit, just like fairy tales that we were told as children, and it doesn't exist. Not that love never existed, just in my age group, my era of what I'm growing up in. It's like people rather have side chicks or side dudes than be faithful. No one's loyal or believe in honesty anymore. And when you do get that, it's very rare. So I to all the happy couples out there, and I'm not saying happy for social media, but actually genuinely happy that knows it takes a lot of bending and breaking to make a relationship work. I salute you that you were able to find that in this time where it just seems like it doesn't exist. So let's rewind. I met my ex back in 2000, I want to say 14. We dated for a little while then, but ultimately the timing wasn't right for him. He was fresh out of an 8-year long relationship, and I recognized that in order for him to really be with a person again, like he needs his freedom. He needs to know what it feels like to be alone. So that was hard because I didn't realize I loved him then, but my mom, rest in peace, God bless her soul, told me that the reason why I just wasn't able to just get over him and like forget it was because he was my first love. So you can say I actually fell in love at 24, but it's the same person. So we parted ways. I went on to date one other person. It didn't work out. Like I moved to Miami to be with this guy because I was trying so hard to replace my current ex, but that's just not how it works. A relationship when it ends, it's just like a death. And I feel like this is the worst kind of death because the person is actually still alive, but you still have to go through the stages of grief and mourn the loss of that relationship because things are going to be different. You're going to have a different perspective on things, and you're not going to make those same mistakes. And for the next person you're involved with, you're going to be better in that relationship. So they say you got to kiss a lot of frogs to get your prince, but ultimately I felt like this was my prince, and I still feel that way despite of everything that's transpired. But you know I I'm a firm believer in if something is meant to be, then it will be. So although we may be separated now, who knows what may happen in the future. So let's fast forward. It's 2016. We're messing around, like just friends with benefits type thing. But like I can feel myself getting close to him again. I felt like he was getting close to me again. And he kept telling me, he's like, I'm not the relationship type, and I'm not ready for a relationship. And, so like I give him his space and I continue to mess around with him. And that was probably a mistake on my part. I should have probably cut things then until he was ready for what I wanted. But because the sex was good, I'm not gonna lie, we're both cancers, so we're both givers. So, if you ever fucked a cancer, then you know what's up. Sorry. I hope there's like no minors watching this. But yeah, so I kept going back and like fast forward, my mom dies in September 2016. He's there for me, like he was one of my number one supporter because I couldn't really lean on my brother or my dad because I had to put on that strong front for them and make it seem like I was okay, even though I was literally dying inside. I still miss my mom every day. I don't think it's something that you ever get over. You just kind of learn to live without them. So, to any person that's grieving a loss of a parent, like I feel you. It's been over a year, and I can't say the pain hurts any less, but it does get a little bit easier each day. I say take it minute by minute until you can take it hour by hour to day by day and week by week and so on and so forth. But back to the relationship. So he kind of disappeared on me for a while after that. And then, I don't know, we're like magnets. We connected again. I would say I was in the hospital in November. I was really sick and I had like cursed him out like probably 2 weeks before that. Like I was over it at that point. Like if you're not gonna be consistent, then I don't want to be with you at all. Like not even physically or whatever. So I was in a hospital and lo and behold, I had my family there, but the one person that I wanted was him. So we started talking after that. I got better, start talking. We start hanging out more. I brought him around my friends, um, and eventually we spent Valentine's Day together. Like, and it was amazing because I told him like the only person that's ever bought me flowers for Valentine's Day because I usually try to be single for Valentine's Day. In my mind, I act like a dude sometimes, but yeah. So for Valentine's Day, we were waiting at the restaurant to be seated. Like he took me out for tacos, my favorite thing. Like bring a bitch tacos, and she's happy for life. So he bought me to Rocco's Tacos. That's where we had our date, and there was a Publix. So he pretended to go smoke a cigarette. I'm not an advocate for smokers, but whatever your vice is, that's your vice. I'm a drinker, and not everyone drinks, so I can't judge anyone for what they do. So he went, and then he came back with these beautiful flowers and chocolates, and I was just like so blown away that he took the time to be considerate and wanted to make this night special for me. And so, um, and if you follow my blog, which you should, I'll leave the link down below. You'll read the poem about how that night was for me and how I remember it and how I feel about it now. It's part two, the night itself, and then it's about the dress I picked out, especially for that night. Spent like $90 on it to impress him. His favorite color is pink. My favorite color is black. So weird. So we're totally at the opposite ends. Even though we're both cancers, we're totally different, but yet so much alike. And I think that was a blessing and a curse in our relationship. I think the alikeness is what ultimately was the demise of our relationship. So after that, like I gave him an ultimatum. I'm like, either we're gonna be together or like, we're just gonna have to go our separate ways because, like, you're telling me you love me, but you're not ready to commit to a relationship. You're not seeing other people, but you don't want that boyfriend girlfriend title. And it's not even about the title to me, it's just ultimately saying, like, hey, I'm committing myself to only you for this time. Because at this day and age, well, not even day and age, at my age, you're either dating to break up or dating to get married. We both didn't want to get married, but neither one of us thought we would be breaking up. It was just our perspective on things. You know, we both came from troubled backgrounds and then ultimately have the greatest example of marriages around us. So we kind of connected there, like, and I think that's the hardest part about the situation is because he was my friend first before anything, and we shared a lot with each other, and we both were have been hurt and are hurt. So I think of us as kindred spirits, and ultimately I do hope that we find our way back to each other, because honestly, I'm not ready to go through. I don't want to be in love with nobody else. I will casually date, and that's about it to get my rocks off, pretty much. But I'm not trying to connect with anyone else on that type of level. I could have lived without the experience if it doesn't come back. But at the same time, like, I have this tattoo. Well, can't really see it. It's in a weird place with his initial M, and most of my tattoos have meaning. So that symbolizes the first time I fell in love and with who. And I thought about getting it covered up. I actually had a picture drawn out, and I was gonna give it covered up, and also have a poem about that. So you guys really need to be reading my blog. But I decided not to, because the reason why I got it is because I wanted to remember the experience. And even though there has been some pretty lows in this experience, and I mean some knockout, blow out lows, I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else. So that's what it is. So I'm gonna keep it as a reminder. Hey, I fell in love once. It didn't work out, but I experienced it at least once in my life. And I don't think you ever find true love more than once in your life. I feel like you have different type of loves, but your first love is like something I feel like it's going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm always going to have him in a part of my heart. So basically, I couldn't live at my house because it was too much of a reminder of my mom. So I inadvertently started living with him and his people. Um, and a friend, well, ex friend that would remain nameless, pointed out a certain situation that he was on certain sites doing things that were kind of disrespectful for someone that's in a relationship. I'm not going to go into details because this video is not to blast him, it's just to share my viewpoint and go over my experience, and you can take what you want to take from it. So, in my mind, we had already broken up because of it. But you kind of have to let a person know, especially if you're living with them, that you're broken up. So, in return, I did some shady shit too, and he found out about it. And so he forgave me, and then we finally talked about it or whatever, why I was upset. And he's like, he's not using that site anymore, so, like, let's just let it go. But he went through my phone and found my dirt. So I had to return the favor. See, that's how much we trusted each other. We had the passwords to each other's phone. And I wish I had never known about, like, the sites he was on, because it ultimately fucked up our trust. And for me, once I lose trust in a person, I don't deal with them. Like, I cut it off. So this was another learning experience. Like, interacting with a person that I had lost trust for and started to view in a different light. And that's what it was. So I went through his phone and I found some text messages that were, like I said, kind of disrespectful. Nothing overtly wrong, but it would seem like he had feelings for someone else. And during this time, I could feel like our connection wasn't as strong as it was before. Like he had been pulling back. So it made sense after I read the text messages. So I planned on leaving that night. Like I screenshot everything and sent it to my phone so he knew that I knew, because I planned on being gone by that morning. But he talked me into staying and we were gonna work it out. I mean, he forgave me, so why not forgive him? I still loved him deep down inside. I didn't want to be with anyone else, and I thought the relationship was worth fixing. So fast forward, moving day, we move into an apartment together. We're going through the motions still because we didn't get a chance to take a break before moving in together and like really get over that trust, that break in trust in our relationship. So everything was fast forward, and I ultimately think that was like another reason why we're here where we are now. So we would be okay, and then we would have fights, and then we'll be okay, then we'll have fights. And like I felt like he was shutting me out, and then I know in return I was shutting him out because he was shutting me out. And I learned, like, in a relationship you can't do that. Like, you, whenever you feel there's an issue, you need to address it up front and not let it boil over, because a lot of our fights happen because I let shit boil over instead of addressing it. And if I would have brought it to his attention, you know, he would have fixed it and we could have moved past it. And then, like, maybe we would still be together. So let's fast forward to our last fight. Like, I thought he was on a site being unfaithful, but he wasn't. It turned out to be a totally different situation. We made up. If you guys didn't know, like, I had to move from my apartment because it was making me sick. It was full of mold, and so his friend had an opportunity for him in Nebraska, and I felt like it would be a great opportunity. Like, if he moved and he wasn't with me, or like back in Philly where he's from with his family, because it would force him to grow up, and like it would force me to focus more on myself in school and like getting healthy, and ultimately being a better person for him so that he also could work on himself to be a better person for his daughter and for me and for himself, because like I see so much potential in him, and I think it's like circumstances, they knock you down and sometimes you don't know how to get up from them, and I felt like I was enabling him, and this move was supposed to, you know, change that. And so let's fast forward. We made up. He left. I did a stint in the hospital because I went berserk over some stupid shit. Like, just basically so much feelings balled up. I felt abandoned. Like, I knew he was leaving and I was okay with him leaving, or at least I thought it was. But deep down, I felt like he was going to leave and I was never going to talk to him again. And so I was hurting, and like, that's another video. That story is for another video. Um, because I do want to air out mental health. So I'm definitely an advocate for that. So basically, he moves. Then he's like, he just wants to be friends, and like I couldn't understand that. So I did some petty shit, and we went back and forth, and now we're at a point where we're not speaking, and it's hard because for the past year I woke up to this person, laid in bed next to this person, and he's not here, and it hits you the most at night because you're used to reaching over and grabbing that person and holding them. And he used to tell me that I snore. Like, I don't understand how he dealt with it. And it's like he used to tell me that my snoring was his peace, and now we don't even talk. So I'm just here by myself picking up the pieces, trying to figure out what went wrong, what went wrong. And I think the most important things that you have to take away from the relationship is not always all about what the other person did that was bad, because hurt people hurt people. He was hurt, so he hurt me. And by him hurting me, I purposely hurt him back. And that's not how you deal with situations. If you're gonna forgive a person, forgive them and don't bring it up anymore. Just forgive them and move on for it from it. And if you need counseling, go to counseling. Like, even if it's your mutual friend, like, get an outsider to help you see through the bullshit, because if you really want to be with that person, you'll make it work unless it's really truly unhealthy for you. I think that during the later part of our relationship, it became toxic for both of us, because both of us needed to examine ourselves and grow as people. But if he was to hit me up in a couple of months with his shit together and I had my shit together, best believe I would be on that first plane smoking back to Nebraska to my baby. So I say this to say that, like, reflect on the relationship. Don't just focus on what the person did wrong to you. Focus on what you did wrong, because sometimes what they did to you is because of what you did. And don't take all of the blame in the relationship, because the other person deserves blame too, but don't blame them completely either, because even if you're a nice person, you got cheated on, you can't blame it all on them. Like, yeah, they're wrong for cheating, but you allowed it. You kept forgiving when there was no change in behavior. So remember this: an apology without change is just words. And I love you without the actions behind it means nothing. And that concludes this video. Peace and blessings.